This video discusses how to create references in an APA-style student paper. Academic writing requires you to do research on a topic to find scholarly research that supports your ideas and begins to build a case and prove a concept, idea, or argument. When you do this, you need to give credit to your sources of information, and this is done in the form of references and in-text citations. References appear at the end of your paper, leading your reader to the original material you used. Each reference has a corresponding in-text citation in the text of your paper. When it comes to developing references and in-text citations, APA suggests following these 6 steps. 1. Read the work you want to cite. 2. Identify an idea you want to put in your paper. 3. Write a sentence about this idea. You can quote or paraphrase it. 4. Write a reference for the source you are using. 5. Add the corresponding in-text citation for this reference to your paper. And 6. Repeat these steps as needed for other sources and ideas used throughout the rest of your assignment. This process suggests that you begin by creating your references before creating the in-text citations in the body of your paper. When you already have your references complete, finding the information for your in-text citations becomes much faster and easier. A lot of writers spend time trying to locate the sources they used at the end of the writing process as they work to create their reference page and insert their in-text citations. The inability to locate sources or to properly connect them to ideas in your paper can result in accidental plagiarism, which is subject to academic misconduct. Following the process suggested here is an excellent way to ensure your work is written with integrity. According to the 6 steps of the APA process, once you have identified a source of information to use in your paper, you need to create a reference for it. The format of your reference will vary depending on the source of information you are using. It can be helpful to identify your source first. For instance, are you looking at a book, a journal article, or a website? These are the types of sources most commonly used for academic papers. The reference will typically include the names of the authors who wrote the information you used, the year their work was published, the title of the article, book, or web page, and the title of the source, such as the periodical or website name, and then a link for the source if there is one. If you are using a journal article, this link may be known as a DOI. When you begin creating a reference, see if you can find these items of information first. Next, you need to list this information in a specific way, as outlined by the APA manual. In these examples, you may notice a theme in the order of information between each type of reference. For instance, the authors always appear first, followed by the year, then titles. After this, there will be variation in format depending on the source you have used. Starting with the journal article, you will start with the author's last name, followed by a comma, then the letter of their first initial with a period, followed by the initial for their middle name if they have one. If they don't have a middle name, you only include the initial for their first name. If you have multiple authors, you continue repeating this information for each author and separate them with commas, but you always include an ampersand, the and symbol, prior to listing your last author. After your last author, simply put a period to show that this is the end of your author list. Then, in parentheses, you include the year of publication followed by a period. After this is the article's title. Article titles are not written using title case. Rather, you only capitalize the first word, any other words that are proper nouns, or the first word after a colon, dash, or end punctuation in a heading. So, for example, if your title was Effects of Pollution in Canada, an Overview, the only capital letters would be the E in Effects and C in Canada, and the A in An. Next, in italics, you include the title of the journal. Journal titles are written using title case, so make sure you capitalize the major words in the title. This is followed by the volume number, which is also italicized. However, this is where the italics stop. Without adding a space after the volume, you want to put the issue number in parentheses. Then there is a comma, a range of page numbers for the article, then a period, and finally the URL or DOI for the article. This may seem really overwhelming, but all this information can be located on the journal article itself. You just need to follow the APA formatting guidelines to organize it all. Books follow a similar pattern, beginning with the authors and year of publication, but then you want to include the title of the book. The title of the book is not written using title case, so only capitalize the first letter of the first word, any proper nouns mentioned in the title, and the first word of the subtitle if there is one. The book may or may not have an edition. If it doesn't have an edition, simply put a period after the book title. If there is an edition, it appears in parentheses, as in the example shown here, and the period will appear afterwards. Then you want to include the publisher's name and a period to end the reference. Web pages on websites are very similar to journal articles, but after the web page title, rather than putting a journal name, you are putting the name of the website itself. Note that the title of the web page is written in italics. The URL for the web page appears after the name of the website. In all cases, you may have a source written by an organization rather than a person. This is perfectly fine. Simply swap out the author names for the name of the organization, for example, Georgian College. The main difference this makes in terms of web pages is that you no longer need to include the name of the website after the web page title when creating a web page reference. Instead, the organization is used as your author, and your web page title will be in italics before the URL. Examples can be seen here. Notice how the journal article example shows a reference with one author, while the book example shows how to list 3 authors, and the website shows how to use an organizational author. When creating your own references, compare them to examples like this and pay careful attention to the order of information, use of periods and commas, as well as the use of italics. You can find example references in the APA manual, on the Georgian College APA Citing Guide, and the APA Style website. Now that you have your references, they need to be put into a list, also known as the reference page. Your reference page needs to be on a separate page from the text of your paper, and it always comes at the end of your paper. As you can see in this example, the title References is centered and bolded at the top of the reference page. You should also have a page number in the top right corner, as with all pages in your paper. Beneath that is your first reference. References should be listed in alphabetical order, double-spaced, and formatted using a hanging indent. A hanging indent occurs when the first line of the reference is flush left, but the lines beneath it are indented by 0.5 inches. If you need help doing this, there are websites and YouTube videos that can walk you through the process. Just a few extra tips. Each reference will be different and unique depending on the source you are using, so always look for a comparable example that you can use as a guide. Always pay careful attention to punctuation and italics when creating your own references. And lastly, as mentioned earlier, follow the 6 steps to a proper APA citation. Read the work you want to cite, identify an idea you want to put in your paper, write a sentence about this idea by quoting or paraphrasing the information, write a reference for the source you are using, add the corresponding in-text citation for the reference to your paper, and repeat these steps as needed for other sources and ideas used throughout the rest of your paper. Following these steps will ensure you give proper credit to the sources of information you are using and will ensure you avoid plagiarizing the work of the original author. There are many resources to help you learn about APA. For more APA help, contact the Writing Center and visit the Georgian College APA Guide and the APA website.